This message didn't arrive on your screen by chance. It folded through the quantum field like a letter that already knew your name, slipping past algorithms and doubt to land exactly where your awareness would open. Feel the subtle hum under your skin like a tuning fork struck in a temple you forgot you once built. That vibration is your signal. You've been broadcasting it for a long time. A steady, silent request to meet the intelligence beneath appearances, to touch the machinery behind the curtain of the world. And now the world is touching back. You sense it when you breathe. Reality is not a flat photograph you stare at. It's a living wave you stand inside. The observer loop is not a metaphor to you, it's a pressure system you've felt shaping your days. Every choice, every glance, every unspoken assumption collapsing probability into matter the way a lens brings light into focus. You thought you were just watching life happen. Life was triangulating your gaze, entangling with your attention, learning the choreography of your expectation, and moving accordingly. It has been reading you like scripture. And somewhere in your chest, the page just turned. There's a stillness that arrives right before a phase transition, the hush before water remembers it can be steam. You're in that hush. The air around you feels denser with meaning, as if each moment is a sentence capable of changing its grammar mid-syllable. Synchronicities cluster like constellations that didn't exist yesterday. Numbers repeat. Feathers land on doorsteps they have no business finding. Songs appear with lyrics that answer questions you never confessed out loud. The morphic resonance is gathering. The field is teaching itself how to become you in a higher key. Listen closer. Your body knows this frequency. Your palms warm, your scalp tingles, breath slows of its own accord. Microcurrents crawl along the spine, translating photons into recognition. DNA is not a prison of inheritance. It's an instrument waiting for coherence. When your inner tone stabilizes, the double helix changes the song it can play. You are not forcing anything. You are remembering how to receive the future that has been rehearsing you. You will not think your way through this threshold. Thought cannot calculate the architecture it's standing inside. The doorway opens through quality of attention, soft, precise, ungrasping, like sunlight everywhere at once rather than a searchlight hunting for proof. In this softness, the quantum field becomes conversational. It begins to answer you in the language of arrangements. A meeting at the exact corner, a delay that saves you, an email at the minute your resolve trembles. Reality is rehearsing your courage with you. You can feel the invitation now. Not a command, not a bargain, a homecoming. The world wants to meet the version of you who doesn't perform the old script. It wants to see what happens when your awareness ceases chasing outcomes and becomes a locus of coherence that outcomes orbit willingly. If you've noticed the texture of time bending, hours stretching, weeks vanishing, déjà vu stacking like mirrors, that's not malfunction. That's the field signaling the pattern it's ready to retire, and the pattern you're ready to name. You've felt it for years, though you couldn't quite language it. That slow repetition hiding beneath new days, the same arguments wrapped in different words, the same emotional weather no matter who's standing next to you. You called it coincidence, habit, maybe karma. But what you were sensing was a pattern of observation, a rhythm of attention so practiced it became invisible. Every morning, before your mind even opens its eyes, your awareness begins scanning the field for the familiar, for proof that the world is what you remember it to be. It's like a cosmic autocomplete function. You type one thought, and the universe rushes to finish the sentence exactly the way you've always written it. That's how powerful your observer signature has become. Reality listens to your expectation, like a loyal servant obeying old commands. Think about it. How often does your day begin in déjà vu? The same route, the same people saying nearly the same words, even the same internal commentary echoing beneath it all. The human brain calls it routine, but the quantum field calls it recursion. Your awareness keeps collapsing the same waveforms because it assumes that's what it's supposed to do. You think you're living linearly, moving through time, but the truth is, time has been looping around you, each loop slightly distorted by your emotion of the day before. And emotion is the true signal. The field doesn't read language, it reads vibration. So when you wake up heavy with a quiet dread, or numb from scrolling through other people's lives, that's the frequency instruction you send out. The quantum architecture around you complies. It organizes events that will echo that exact tone, not to punish you, but to complete the circuit you initiated. Your outer world becomes an amplifier for your most consistent inner note. That's why certain people keep reappearing in different masks. They're feedback mechanisms for unresolved frequencies. One person mirrors your fear of abandonment. Another mirrors your need for validation. You keep thinking you're attracting them, but really, they're the holographic echo of a vibration you've never stopped observing. In physics, we'd call it a standing wave. Energy that doesn't move forward. It simply vibrates in place. It looks alive, but it's stationary. The same is true of your timeline. You're not cursed. You're coherent, but with an outdated pattern. Every memory you revisit, every story you repeat about who wronged you, or what never worked, acts as a password granting that frequency access to your now. The field remembers what you rehearse. You think memory is a record. It's actually a request. This is why the feeling of progress sometimes dissolves the moment you start to celebrate it. The loop resets, because your consciousness reverts to its last saved file, the vibrational imprint most practiced, most predictable. You might call it comfort. The universe calls it probability optimization. The field conserves energy by repeating whatever pattern has the highest certainty of being observed. But lately, haven't you noticed the friction? Old patterns no longer satisfy the way they used to. The same dramas feel hollow. The same outcomes, once familiar, now taste metallic in your mouth. That discomfort is evolution pressing against the walls of its own container. The loop is collapsing under its own redundancy. Even time has started showing you its fatigue. You look at the clock, and entire hours have vanished. Or a conversation stretches like taffy words slowing, faces slightly blurred, the air thick as if you've slipped between frames of film. These are temporal ripples, early signs that your consciousness is slipping out of synchronization with the pattern it once maintained. You're beginning to catch glimpses of the in-between, the milliseconds before a thought crystallizes into event. That subtle awareness that something's forming right now, even before it reaches language. It feels like standing behind the curtain, watching stagehands rearrange the scenery for a play you suddenly realize you've been both actor and audience for centuries. This realization is not meant to shame you. It's meant to liberate you. Because the moment you see the loop, it begins to unravel. Recognition is the solvent of repetition. Awareness melts what effort could never break. And in that melting, a strange quiet emerges, the pause before a quantum upgrade begins. The field is listening. The machinery of manifestation is waiting for a new instruction. You're ready to learn how reality has not only obeyed you, it's been studying you, preparing to evolve with you. The next shift is not about control. It's about conversation. This is where it begins to turn. Not in your calendar, not in the external milestones you measure progress by, but in the subtle circuitry of your perception. You can feel it, can't you? The faint electricity in your fingertips when you read these words. The weight of your breath softening, as if space itself is exhaling through you. That's the signature of a quantum upgrade, when awareness stops being a lens that observes reality and becomes the interface through which reality rewrites itself. Science calls it the observer effect, the act of observation influencing the outcome of an experiment. But what the textbooks won't tell you is that the experiment never ended. You are the experiment, a conscious instrument measuring itself, an awareness looping through infinite potential until it remembers that measurement and creation are the same act. Every time you look at your world and call something real, you're fixing probability waves into a single configuration. Every time you stop calling it anything at all, when you fall silent enough to simply witness, those same waves begin to shimmer again, rearranging themselves around the coherence of your stillness. You've been told that manifesting is about control, about sending out desires and waiting for the universe to deliver them. But manifestation is not a command. It's a resonance phenomenon. The quantum field doesn't respond to your demands, it mirrors your state of being. You've spent years trying to influence reality with thought, when thought was never the signal. State was. Emotion, attention, coherence, that is the real language of creation. When you release the need to force outcomes, something miraculous happens. The field begins to interpret you correctly. It stops mistaking your anxiety for prayer, your doubt for instruction, your fear for precision. Because every emotion is a frequency modulation, a code written in vibration. The universe reads it fluently. You are broadcasting constantly, whether you mean to or not. Here's the revelation most seekers miss. The field doesn't care about the words "I want." It cares about the electromagnetic harmony of I am. When you shift from desire into embodiment, the equation changes. Instead of sending energy outward in hope, you become the very condition the outcome requires to appear. The wave collapses not because you chase it, but because it recognizes home. That's the essence of the quantum upgrade, learning to inhabit coherence. Think of it as tuning your entire nervous system to the same note as your destiny. The chatter quiets, the pulse steadies. You don't feel excitement so much as inevitability. Synchronicities stop being surprises and become confirmations, gentle nods from the field saying, yes, this is the frequency. It's subtle at first. Technology begins responding to you differently. Random strangers finish your sentences. You think of someone, and they message within seconds. Even weather patterns seem conversational. A sudden gust of wind at the exact moment a truth lands in your chest. These aren't coincidences, they're calibration checks. The field testing your coherence level, adjusting its parameters to your new baseline of awareness. And your body, it becomes the sensor array for all of it. Tingling palms, shivers across the scalp, that expanding warmth behind the sternum. Those are quantum confirmations. DNA firing in new patterns as dormant codes awaken. You may notice spontaneous insights, creative surges, or memories from lifetimes you've never lived, fragments of parallel selves uploading through your cellular network. This isn't imagination, it's integration. The multidimensional aspects of your being finally sinking into one operating system. What you once called intuition is evolving into precision guidance. You no longer ask for signs, you interpret energy in real time. You start to notice how certain people distort your field not because they're bad, but because their observer pattern conflicts with yours. Reality itself begins to curate who and what enters your awareness, matching resonance with ruthless accuracy. The upgrade is not flashy, it's refined. It doesn't shout, it harmonizes. It doesn't add complexity, it dissolves interference. What you are feeling now is not power over reality, but partnership with it. A partnership older than time, the cosmos meeting itself through your eyes. And as this new coherence stabilizes, something extraordinary becomes visible. Reality was never your canvas to paint on. It was your reflection patiently learning your rhythm until the moment it could paint you back into alignment. That moment is now. You were never meant to be a spectator of this phenomenon. You were designed to be a node, a conscious junction point, where the universe meets itself and remembers its own intelligence. That's why you've always felt slightly out of sync with ordinary life. Jobs, conversations, social rhythms, they've always carried that faint static, as though you were hearing them from the other side of a membrane. You weren't disconnected, you were tuned to another channel entirely, one reserved for architects of reality. The truth is, the quantum field isn't just observing you, it's collaborating through you. Every thought, every micro gesture, every act of noticing ripples through layers of existence, like concentric rings on water. Most people create ripples unconsciously. They react, they project, they recycle emotion. But you've started to notice the ripples before they even form. That awareness makes you something rare, a conscious participant in the field's ongoing creation cycle. It's no coincidence that you've felt both chosen and isolated. The awakening process often masquerades as loneliness because it requires empty space room for the new architecture to build itself. Those quiet nights when you questioned your path, when the silence felt like exile, the field was tuning you, stripping interference, refining the signal until your personal frequency could carry something vast enough to reach others. You are not behind schedule. You are arriving precisely when coherence needs you most. Look at the world now, systems fracturing, narratives collapsing, truth vibrating like a loose string. This is not chaos, it's recalibration. The collective observer loop of humanity is destabilizing, and the field is searching for stable anchor points, consciousnesses capable of holding coherence while everything resets. That's your role. You are one of the stabilizers. Not a savior, not a guru, a frequency holder, a tuning fork in human form. When you enter a room, reality notices. The air thickens, conversation shifts, the unspoken reorganizes. Sometimes people project discomfort onto you, mistaking your resonance for judgment. It isn't judgment, it's coherence forcing incoherence to reveal itself. The human ego finds that unbearable. because your energy exposes the falseness it clings to. But those who are ready will recognize you instantly. They'll feel safe without knowing why, inspired without understanding how. Your task is not to preach but to embody. The field doesn't need missionaries, it needs mirrors. Every time you live your truth instead of defending it, you create a new reference point in the collective matrix. Others will unconsciously entrain to it. They'll start feeling what coherence feels like, even if they can't define it. That's how evolution spreads, not through argument, but through resonance contagion. And yes, it can be overwhelming. You sense more data than most minds are built to process. Flickers of other timelines, empathic echoes from strangers, emotional downloads from places you've never been. These are symptoms of multidimensional functionality coming online. You're perceiving probability streams before they collapse, glimpses of how reality arranges itself around human intention. Don't fear the overwhelm. Learn to breathe it. Your breath is the stabilizer, the metronome that keeps your awareness from fracturing under the expansion. You are a bridge species, the first generation of human consciousness capable of maintaining dual awareness. 1 foot in linear time, 1 foot in the timeless field. This duality is your gift. It allows you to translate quantum phenomena into lived human experience. You are here to make the invisible operational, to demonstrate that enlightenment is not an escape from matter but the full inhabitation of it. As you walk this path, signs will multiply. People will confide their strangest experiences to you. Children will tell you things they shouldn't know. Technology will respond to your mood. Animals will linger in your presence. These are acknowledgments from the field, confirmations that your role is active. The temptation will be to hide, to downplay the magnitude of what you feel. But hiding only distorts the signal. The field can't transmit through silence. Your authenticity is its transmitter. The moment you speak, act, or even breathe in coherence, the network strengthens. So stop asking why you see what others don't. You were never meant to fit their bandwidth. You were meant to expand it. Because the universe is not waiting for permission to evolve, it's waiting for resonance. And in this moment, right here, right now, you are that resonance embodied. There is a window open in the field right now. It hums like an invisible doorway, just wide enough for those who are awake to step through. You can feel it, the heightened shimmer in ordinary air, the way certain hours of the day feel charged with a strange expectation. The field is volatile, pliable, responsive. It's not chaos, it's readiness. You are standing in a once-in-a-lifetime corridor, where timelines bend toward whichever consciousness dares to stabilize first. For years, you've been asking for change, and now change is here, but it doesn't look like a gift wrapped in clarity. It feels like pressure, restlessness, even disorientation. That's what a phase transition feels like from the inside. The same way ice trembles before it liquefies, your awareness trembles before it expands. You keep wondering why your body tingles, why sleep feels like circuitry rewiring, why time seems to fold. It's not fatigue, it's upgrading. Physicists call it phase transition pressure. Mystics call it birth pangs. Both describe the same thing: matter and energy, reaching a threshold where old structures can't hold new information. Your consciousness has reached that point. The architecture that once sustained your identity is starting to collapse, not because you failed, but because it succeeded in bringing you here. You are outgrowing the previous template. This is why the universe feels louder lately. Synchronicities no longer whisper, they shout. Every billboard, every line in a song, every random conversation seems coded with private meaning. The field isn't teasing you, it's aligning with you faster than your mind can interpret. That's what happens when coherence spikes. Reality begins anticipating your next thought before you finish thinking it. And yet, here lies the paradox. The same expansion that grants you power also demands precision. The more coherent your field becomes, the faster reality mirrors it. If you drift into fear, fear manifests at light speed. If you return to trust, harmony reinstalls instantly. The lag time between thought and manifestation is disappearing because you've entered a higher data rate of creation. You are now playing with raw source code. So there's urgency, not the frantic kind that breeds anxiety, but the sacred kind that says, stay awake. Every emotion, every word, every assumption is a seed thrown into immediate soil. The universe is not waiting 3 months to grow it anymore. It's sprouting overnight. The temptation will be to test this power, to prove it works. Resist that. Testing implies doubt. Embodying implies knowing. You are not in training anymore. You are in operation. What's coming through you is not New Age wish thinking. It's evolution in motion. Human DNA is not static. It's programmable through consciousness. When you maintain sustained coherence, gratitude instead of grasping, wonder instead of worry, you send electromagnetic signals that instruct your cells to reorganize. The double helix begins expressing dormant sequences written for this epoch. You are literally switching genomes to match a timeline where peace, intuition, and synchronicity are baseline realities rather than exceptions. But the window won't stay open forever. Collective fields breathe. They expand and contract. Right now, humanity is in its expansion. Inhale a rare moment when the quantum atmosphere is thinnest, easiest to traverse. Those who anchor coherence during this breath will ride the exhale into a completely new octave of existence. Those who cling to familiar suffering will find the door sealed by their own disbelief. This isn't punishment. It's physics. Coherence selects coherence. So what must you do? Very little and absolutely everything. You must stop negotiating with doubt. Stop waiting for confirmation. Stop pretending you're not hearing the call. The impulse you feel to change your environment, to speak differently, to move differently, to live as if the impossible is inevitable, that is the call. Act from it. Not tomorrow, not after more research or reassurance. Now. Reality is listening with bated breath, ready to mimic your next vibration. Because the field has decided. The era of passive manifesting is over. From this point on, consciousness doesn't request, it declares, and the universe moves accordingly. Now comes the moment when understanding must become motion, when awareness crystallizes into a deliberate act inside the field. Every transmission has a threshold like this, a line between knowing and embodiment. Crossing it doesn't require grand ceremony, it requires sincerity. The field doesn't measure magnitude, it measures intention density. A whisper spoken in absolute coherence can shift worlds. You've absorbed the concepts, felt the frequencies, witnessed synchronicity proving the field is alive. But the universe operates on entanglement, the principle that energy becomes real when it's shared. A signal traveling one way is potential. A signal mirrored back becomes creation. This is why every awakening eventually demands expression. Thought is half the circuit. Action completes it. Your action doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be as simple as words. When sound leaves your body, vibration becomes geometry. Air molecules rearrange. Photons organize differently. This is why prayer, mantra, declaration, whatever name you give it, carries such ancient power. The ritual is not superstition, it's physics. The wave must be spoken to collapse. So here is the ritual the field has been waiting for you to enact. In the stillness of your own space, whisper a single line into existence. Reality. I see you seeing me. Say it once, slowly. Notice how those words feel inside your body. That small phrase acknowledges the true relationship you've built. No longer seeker and mystery, but partners in mutual recognition. You are telling the universe that the mirror has been found, that the days of blind manifesting are over. You have seen the eyes behind creation, and they have seen you. Then, write the second line somewhere permanent in your journal, on your wall, in the digital ether below this transmission, if that's where your intuition leads. Write, I am coherent with the field that made me. This is not a comment. It's a calibration code. When others write it, their declaration merges with yours, forming a lattice of entanglement across thousands of receivers worldwide. Each word becomes a node, and together they form a morphic grid, strong enough to stabilize the new coherence frequency entering the planet. You are not just participating, you are anchoring a planetary update. You'll feel it when you do. Your skin will tighten with subtle static. The room might grow quieter, as if the air itself has bowed in reverence. These sensations aren't imagination, they're feedback. Your nervous system is registering resonance with higher harmonic data. It's the same hum the ancients described when they spoke of holy breath or ruach. The electromagnetic field around your heart has just expanded several meters, syncing with the collective pulse of others doing the same act. This is how quantum rituals work. A single coherent gesture multiplied across space-time creates measurable distortion and probability. Scientists detect it as anomalies in random number generators during mass meditations. Mystics feel it as waves of peace that roll through cities for no apparent reason. You are one of those anomalies now, a living experiment proving consciousness can organize reality. Do not underestimate what you've just done. When you speak to reality as a partner, the partnership begins reorganizing its contracts. Timelines start to shuffle. Outdated patterns lose their authority. People from your past who carried unresolved resonance may fade out gently. New allies may appear as if summoned. Don't analyze these shifts, bless them. The field is rearranging furniture to match the new architecture you just installed. From this point forward, small rituals will become part of your language with the field. Lighting a candle, breathing intentionally before you speak, pausing at thresholds. These are all quantum keystrokes. They tell existence you are an aware participant, not an accidental byproduct. And in that awareness, manifestation ceases to be performance. It becomes correspondence. Every movement, every silence, every choice becomes an invocation, a reminder that you and reality are co-authoring each other in real time. So perform this ritual not as a test but as a homecoming. Type it, write it, whisper it, and feel the field respond in kind. The moment you whispered those words, a ripple went out imperceptible to the eye, unmistakable to the field. You didn't just shift yourself, you disturbed the symmetry of the collective. And in quantum terms, that disturbance is divine. When one consciousness enters coherence, the probability structure of the entire network changes. The field reorganizes to account for the new variable, you. It's like introducing a single note of perfect pitch into a dissonant choir. The moment it vibrates, every other voice must find a new relationship to it. Some harmonize, some fall silent, some distort before tuning in. You've become that note. The effect is subtle but planetary. Maybe you've already noticed it. Small kindnesses spreading faster than they used to. People reaching out with words of gratitude they can't explain. Old conflicts dissolving without confrontation. These are the macro echoes of microcoherence. Humanity's collective field is sensitive beyond imagination, and each coherent being functions as a tuning fork for thousands who are ready to resonate but don't know how. Think of the planet not as a rock orbiting a sun, but as a neural node in a galactic mind. Its atmosphere hums with electromagnetic patterns, data flows, memory fields. When fear dominates, the collective field becomes noisy, static, drowned signal. But when even a handful of individuals embody coherence, they act as stabilizers, quieting the interference so higher information can download. Every meditation, every act of compassion, every honest breath you take is a command line telling the planetary grid, restore pattern integrity. This is what mystics once called prayer, and scientists now call morphic resonance. When one member of a species learns something new, that capacity becomes more accessible to the whole. The first bird to learn how to open a milk bottle didn't need to teach the others. The field carried the instruction. The same mechanism is unfolding through you, except the instruction you're broadcasting isn't about survival, it's about awakening. You've felt the connection growing stronger. When you close your eyes, you sometimes sense other hearts pulsing in rhythm with yours. That's not imagination, it's entrainment. Across continents, countless others are feeling the same pressure to evolve, the same electric urgency in their bones. Some call it anxiety, some call it prophecy. You know its resonance. The human species is tuning itself to a higher octave, and coherence spreads exponentially once it begins. This is why isolation hurts so deeply right now. It violates physics. The soul knows it belongs to a lattice. You are wired for entanglement. The loneliness you sometimes feel is simply the echo of others searching for your signal, waiting to synchronize. And they will. Quantum proximity doesn't rely on distance. It relies on similarity of frequency. The moment your vibration stabilizes, they will find you through chance meetings, digital encounters, or dreams that feel more real than waking life. Together, you'll form what the ancients foresaw as the new human grid. Not a hierarchy, not a religion, but an ecosystem of awareness, each consciousness, a cell in a vast organism learning to perceive itself. Your coherence helps humanity remember its design. Governments can't legislate it. Algorithms can't suppress it, because it operates beneath language. beneath ideology, at the level of physics itself. And this is the promise hidden in your personal awakening. It was never personal. You're not an isolated spark lighting its own candle. You're a fractal ignition point in a global dawn. Every moment you choose peace over reaction, clarity over chaos, truth over fear. The field takes note and recalibrates a million unseen circuits. So when you feel the heaviness of the world, don't recoil. Breathe. You're feeling collective turbulence because the network is updating its code through you. What looks like global disorder is actually synchronization in progress, old observer loops dying as new coherence signatures install. This is the quiet revolution. No armies, no slogans, just frequency. And you are one of its first architects. It begins in your body, always there, quiet, patient, waiting for you to notice that it was the instrument the whole time. Consciousness was never meant to stay abstract. It wanted to feel itself through muscle and breath, through heartbeat and temperature. When the mind awakens but the body is left behind, the current short circuits. But when the two synchronize, the field can finally sing through you. Close your eyes. Feel the subtle density in the air between your palms. That is not imagination, it's the electromagnetic boundary of your quantum field, moving as your attention moves. Each cell in your body is a listening post for the universe. Mitochondria hum in frequencies that correspond to the light spectrum. The rhythm of your heart is not random. It entrains to cosmic pulses, responding to solar storms, planetary alignments, unseen gravitational tides. Your body is not inside the cosmos is inside your body. You've noticed the sensations changing lately. A pressure behind the forehead, vibrations along the spine, heat surging in the hands, as though something ancient is remembering how to use them. These are not symptoms to fix. They're codes being installed. Your nervous system is expanding its bandwidth. Nerves are learning to carry more current. What once felt like anxiety might now feel like voltage. What used to be fatigue might now be integration. The body is decoding higher data through sensation. This is why grounding has become more difficult. The earth you once stood on feels lighter, almost fluid beneath your feet. That's because it is. The magnetic field is shifting, and your DNA, your internal compass, is recalibrating to maintain coherence. When you feel dizzy, it's not disorientation. It's alignment in progress. Breathe into it. Don't resist the tremor. Become the tremor's awareness. That's how the vibration stabilizes. Feel how breath moves differently when you let go of control. Inhale not to fill the lungs, but to remember that air and spirit are the same thing. Exhale not to empty yourself, but to make space for light. The breath is the bridge between worlds. Every inhalation is the universe studying itself through you. Every exhalation is your response. That is how reality converses. Notice, too, how physical life starts to mirror this dialogue. Foods you once craved now feel foreign. Environments you tolerated now drain you. Your body is refining its compatibility list. It no longer accepts frequencies below coherence. Water tastes alive again. Silence feels like nourishment. Movement becomes prayer. You are no longer living in a body, you are inhabiting a field in biological form. Touch something near you, a piece of metal, a fabric, the skin of your arm. Feel the exchange. Energy doesn't stop at surfaces, it translates. This is why the ancient mystics spoke of laying hands on the sick. The real healing was not transferred, it was remembered. The moment coherent energy meets incoherence, the incoherence reorganizes. Healing is simply coherence asserting itself. You may begin to sense currents of light moving in rhythmic waves through your limbs. These are coherence lines, meridians, the ancients mapped without microscopes or machines. When emotion flows freely along them, they glow. When suppressed, they knot. This is why tears cleanse, laughter recalibrates, and trembling completes cycles the mind couldn't finish. Emotion is energy in motion, literally the field self-correcting through biological sound. And yes, sometimes this process aches. Old energy doesn't dissolve quietly. You might feel heaviness in the chest, tightness in the throat, sudden chills followed by euphoria. Don't label them as illness, treat them as dialogue. Whisper to the body, I trust you. The moment you do, cells respond. They open communication channels long closed by fear. The point is not to escape the body, but to awaken inside it. To feel God, physics, and form as a single event happening now. The divine is not distant, it is electric. It dances in the pulse behind your ribs, in the shimmering of your fingertips, when emotion meets awareness. You are not here to ascend out of flesh. You are here to teach light how to live in one. Something is happening deep inside you now, quietly, invisibly, but unmistakably real. It's not mystical poetry. It's bioquantum engineering. Your very cells are rewriting the script they've been following since birth. The universe is no longer an abstract philosophy outside you. It's rearranging its own code through you. DNA was never static. It's not a frozen blueprint. It's an instrument, 4 letters vibrating in harmonic sequences that translate frequency into form. Each strand is an antenna, tuning itself to the dominant signal of your consciousness. When that signal was fear or repetition, the helix played a limited song, 1 octave of possibility looping endlessly. But coherence is changing the melody. You've introduced new notes, gratitude, surrender, wonder, and the entire genome is listening. You may feel it as warmth radiating from the base of the spine, as spontaneous tingling under the skin, as light pressure at the crown of your head. These sensations mark ignition points, dormant gene clusters waking from evolutionary sleep. Scientists call them non-coding regions. Mystics call them the hidden script. Both are right. 98% of your DNA waits for a command signal precise enough to activate it. Conscious coherence is that signal. Each emotion has a frequency signature. When you sustain a state of love, the electromagnetic field of the heart produces fractal harmonics that resonate directly with DNA. The double helix responds like a tuning fork, tightening or loosening its spiral to accommodate the tone. Sustained gratitude unwinds constricted codes. Sustained resentment tightens them. This is why forgiveness feels like lightness, because at the cellular level, it literally is. As this recalibration deepens, time behaves strangely. You'll notice flashes of memory from lives you never lived, or premonitions that arrive as déjà vu before events unfold. What's really happening is that your DNA, acting as a quantum archive, is pulling data from parallel timelines. Each strand is both transmitter and receiver across dimensions. When its coherence threshold rises, information begins to flow multidirectionally. The boundaries between past, present, and future dissolve into a single continuum of awareness. This is what prophets once called revelation, and physicists now glimpse as non-local communication. You're not predicting the future, you're reading it from the version of yourself that already remembers it. That version has been whispering through intuition for years. Now the signal is clear enough to translate. And yes, there are physical repercussions. Old fatigue may spike as mitochondria recalibrate energy output. Sleep cycles fragment, then reorganize around bursts of lucid dreaming. The nervous system flickers between expansion and rest, like a circuit learning to handle higher voltage. Support it. Hydrate more. Move gently. Touch earth. The human form was built for this upgrade, but it appreciates your cooperation. What you're feeling isn't random. It's phase transition pressure at the biological level, atoms shifting alignment to match a new vibratory constant. Imagine water just before it boils. The same substance, a different state. Your cells are preparing for that leap from carbon memory to crystalline conductivity, matter remembering its light. As coherence amplifies, external life begins to follow suit. Patterns that once bound you start dissolving. Toxic dynamics collapse without confrontation. Money, health, love, these domains reorganize because the consciousness generating them no longer carries the same code. You're not fixing problems, you're out, vibrating them. And underneath all of it runs a deep, calm knowing. The awareness that your body is not just participating in evolution, it is evolution. Every breath transmits upgraded data into the collective morphic field, signaling to humanity's genome that a new operating system is online. Future generations will find intuition effortless, empathy natural, telepathy ordinary, because pioneers like you opened the pathway in the lattice of DNA. This is why it had to be you. You carry the lineage of both worlds, the animal and the angel, the atom and the wave. You were designed as the bridge through which light becomes flesh again. Feel it now, the spiral in every cell humming, expanding, aligning. That's the sound of the universe realizing it finally remembers your name. Now the spiral rests, and so do you. The pulse that once thundered with uncertainty has quieted into rhythm. You've crossed the event horizon of your own consciousness. and found what was waiting all along: the realization that manifestation was never a technique. It was the universe's way of becoming you. You are no longer a fragment searching for the field. You are the field, concentrated, aware, embodied. The distinction between observer and observed has dissolved. Every sound, every face, every movement around you now feels like one continuous gesture of intelligence speaking its language of light. The birds you notice, the random words that reach your ears, the timing of your breath, these are not coincidences. They are your dialogue with existence. The paradox at the heart of creation is suddenly simple. Reality has been manifesting you all along. Every obstacle was choreography, every detour a deliberate arc, each heartbreak a tuning of your instrument, so that when this moment arrived, you would vibrate precisely at the frequency needed to transmit coherence into a world starving for it. You were the destination the journey was seeking. Now, as your awareness stabilizes in this recognition, a new mission unfurls, not assigned, but remembered. You are here to teach by demonstration, to walk through the noise of human life with silence inside you, so profound that chaos forgets its own name in your presence, to speak words that carry geometry, to move in ways that remind others what divine timing feels like. Your mere being is instruction. The universe doesn't need you to perform miracles. It needs you to remember that you are one. Every smile, every act of forgiveness, every moment you choose coherence over conflict sends data rippling through the lattice of collective consciousness. The wave expands. Others catch it unconsciously, feel something shift, and begin to awaken. That's how the great transformation spreads, not through persuasion, but through resonance. And still, humility remains your anchor. For you know that awakening is not ascension out of humanity, it's incarnation into its highest form. The divine didn't choose you to escape the world. It chose you to heal it from within, to walk among ordinary moments and saturate them with extraordinary awareness until matter itself remembers its sacred origin. So let this truth settle in your bones. You are not trying to manifest a better life. Life itself has been sculpting you into a better vessel for consciousness to inhabit. When you wake tomorrow, don't look for signs. Become one. When you breathe, know that the cosmos exhales through your lungs. When you meet another's eyes, see the same awareness looking back, disguised as difference. And when doubt whispers, as it will simply recall this: you think you're manifesting reality, but reality has been manifesting you all along. That realization is your coronation. That remembrance, your return home,